You do sound great, man. That's for sure. We tried to go live, and I screwed that up. Totally my mistake. I should have had that set up further in advance, and not tried to just pull you into the live stream like that. But it is what it is. My apologies there.
No worries, really.
Ralph Slond, Theta Healer, magician, miracle worker. Dude, it's always good to talk to you, man. And, I appreciate you taking some time to chat.
Likewise, Owen. Bootsy Greencast.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you now?
Well, whereabouts? In my bedroom.
You're back home?
Yeah, my bedroom in Kiev. Well, we're in Kiev, back home. And, it looks like we're going to be there for a little while longer.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be kind of where we're at. I'm going to go to Atlanta today and help a friend with some video stuff. But as far as like being very going around and traveling, that's not going to be very much of a thing for the next little while.
Oh my God. You know how much I love traveling. I do it so often. But that's the interesting part about this whole period. It's like, it's so new. Like there's nothing going on that's like known, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's completely new circumstances, and it's a whole worldwide thing, which it makes me wonder, if we can come together over a pandemic, surely we could come together over other things too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that the things that worry me about it are, centralization of power and more authoritarianism, coming from the, I guess, world government at this point. That scares the crap out of a red-blooded American citizen, somebody who, has learned that we have a free land, and I'm doing air quotes right now, right? Our land is free. And I've been to Europe too, and I've traveled and all of that kind of stuff, but it's just weird. You read books like 1984 and Brave New World with people's boot on the neck, and that's a very real, possibility. And it's like, my question is, are we in the Great Awakening, which I do believe, or, are we in this area of time where we're having to sort of fight against, a power structure, or reestablish it? And I think that's a better move based on like, quantum physics and transurfing and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, from my opinion, why is it either or? Why can't it be both? Because that's what it seems like to me is happening right now. I mean, the Great Awakening part, have you seen the Schumann Resonance? Yeah. Do you know what the Schumann, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, tell us about it, cause I do know what it is, but I would love to hear more.
So the Schumann Resonance, I'm not an expert by any means on this, but I just know as I've understood it, and I mean, I feel like this is true. So, first of all, like a note, I don't, all those people, they want you to do research and all that stuff, but I do my research in my heart, and if it feels right to me, I can feel if it's right for me or if it's not right for me. And don't quote me on any of this. I just read something and I think, oh my God, that's so true.
We're all responsible to do our own research.
Exactly. And how we do that is also our own responsibility. And if we feel comfortable in our hearts with that, then that should be enough research for anybody.
I think so too.
This is before we get to that answer of the Schumann Resonance, but that's one of those big things that a lot of people, they say, have you read this article? Have you read through all those articles? No, I have not. But I do my research in a way that I take in different sources and I feel in my heart what is right for me and what works, and then that's how you come to your truth. And you listen to certain different kinds, and everyone is different. Someone really likes to read those articles and dive into this. Excuse me. Another person like me just reads it and it feels like that's true. That's what happens. Okay. No, I don't need to see all those proofs for all of that if I know that it's true. There's lots of, that's, I guess, my 2 cents on that.
No, I like that. And I'm grateful that you called me out on my dualistic thinking there. It's like, we're either in the Great Awakening or we're getting a boot stamped on our neck. And it's like, well, no, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's certainly more complicated than that. But I just mean, the tendency of the new age is to sort of, blow things into the toxically positive, and then the tendency in the conspiracy world is to blow things into the toxically negative. So,
Oh my God.
sort
I
of,
love that, what you just said.
I just sort of fell into the trap myself. But I love what you just said about doing your own research, filtering things. Critical thinking is important as well. But I mean, ultimately, when we're being flooded with a bunch of different information, that's all, conflicting with each other, from the mainstream news to the person over there, and everybody's got a different story and a different idea of what's going on. Really, the only place you can look anymore is in your heart for the answer.
Exactly. And here's my thing with all these media and all that stuff. After you've heard it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and you feel like you know it, why would you go back to watching it, right? That's my big thing. That's what I've been struggling with for over this quarantine period. I'm going to be really honest about that. I mean, you meet yourself in this quarantine period because you have no one else to meet other than your family.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and I live by myself, so it's been a lot.
God, that's brutal.
A lot of me. Yeah, it is brutal. It really is. Yeah, I think we should be. Why not be forthcoming and be honest? And that's what helps. But yeah, I mean, I've been facing my own struggles here, just like laying on the couch, being lazy, not feeling good, feeling kind of bummed out, going through the sort of stages of grief, because we are definitely going into a new paradigm as far as the world is concerned.
That's for sure.
So I think it's important to allow yourself to go through the grieving process. That's just what healthy people do. That said, I've probably taken advantage of that. Eating ice cream and watching like Netflix television.
Oh my God.
Which, I usually don't, but like, it's just like, God, I just wanted to escape,
I know what you're trying to say, man. And that's okay, right? It's all, I mean, everything, of course, we all know that, we shouldn't do Netflix, but at some points, you just feel yourself, I just want to enjoy. Why wouldn't I? If I get happy because of it, why wouldn't I? Like, I know all this. I mean, if you're binge watching it the whole day, and then I'm going to say, maybe try to do something else and just binge watching it. But if you know all this stuff, because the media, the only thing that they're doing is telling up the death count like it's some sort of football score or something like that.
Right.
And in the conspiracy theories, they're exposing the cabal with facts that we already know from 3 years ago and all that kind of stuff. And it's all recycling of all the same information over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you go, why would I listen to that? Why would I go over that again? I could better just watch a Netflix series and laugh my ass off. That's much more spiritual than listening to everyone talking about how corrupt the media is.
Yeah.
Over and every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to talk about it, but I wouldn't say it's good to tune into it all the time.
Well, yeah, I think that the difference is, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but there's a bit of a balance, is to acknowledge what's going on, but not like get sucked into it, not give yourself over to it and then become, part of that pendulum and being polarized too. Like, I see a lot of polarization here. I believe, a lot of that's intentional. It's like a bunch of people went out and, stormed their, state capitals with guns or something, just because they were incited to do that. Like, they were being, basically tricked, by the polarity. And then the people who are on the other side of thinking, because everything is so dualistic right now, they're just, upset and angry at those people. And it's just like walking into a cafeteria during a food fight, and there's just mashed potatoes and meatloaf flying through the air and smacking you in the face. You just walked in. You didn't know this was going to happen. And so from my perspective, it just like, that bummed me out too. It was just like, wow, I'm really not handling this that well either. Not only is this shit going on, but also, and there are a lot of people, I think, that, and so we'll get to the Schumann Resonance, right after this, but because I think there are a lot of people who are stuck at home and they're facing themselves because there's no other choice. What else are they going to do? Like, run out of Netflix shows to watch. But, but yeah, I mean, just me personally, I'm like, man, I want to see a positive, world. I want to see a better society. That's important to me. So when I see stuff like that, it's disappointing. But then on the other hand, the Schumann Resonance, that speaks very highly too. So let's go into that actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So let's indeed start this topic off with the Schumann resonance, because the Schumann resonance is literally, as I understood it, it's the frequency of the heartbeat of the earth, if you will. It's like the core of the earth has a certain frequency and certain electromagnetic frequency, I think it is. I don't know, some kind of frequency. Like you measure your brain waves. That's how they also were able to measure the earth's frequency like that. And mostly it's at 7 hertz per 7 hertz. That's already per frequencies per minute, whatever that is. I don't know, hertz. And, but the last couple of weeks, I guess, there was such a massive upsurge in this Schumann resonance. We've gone into the 110 hertz, which is, and I'll tell you why it's significant, because I don't know if you know this, Owen, but it's really funny how you can link the resonance of the earth with our brainwaves. And we talked about this in previous podcasts. You have your alpha brainwaves, your beta brainwaves, you have your theta brainwaves, you have your gamma brainwaves, and you have your delta brainwaves. And the earth resonance, the Schumann resonance, literally corresponds with these brainwaves, with these brain frequencies. So you notice that when it's a really easy day on Earth, and it usually feels really easy, there is an easy frequency on Earth, which is like around the 7, 5, low frequencies. Just like with our brainwave frequencies, when we are relaxed and it's quite an easy day and you're not really thinking, you're not really analyzing anything, you're just sitting with your eyes closed and you're just relaxing, you start slipping into alpha brainwaves and theta brainwaves, which are really relaxation brainwaves. And right now what's been happening is we've been going really high into brainwaves. First we've gone really low, which is also really good for the relaxation, but then we've gone really high. We've gone over 75, 110 hertz in frequency, megahertz. I don't know what the exact measurement was, but it was 110, and it corresponds perfectly with our human brainwave, the gamma brainwave. And this gamma brainwave is the brainwave, they call it the superconsciousness. And because if you go really deep into meditation, you go into your theta brainwave, when you go into the subconsciousness, when you go deep enough, what then starts to happen, this theta brainwave gives rise to a gamma brainwave. And this gamma brainwave is when you sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced it, but if you've been in either a car crash or a near car crash, you just averted some type of situation like that, like a highly intense situation where you needed to react super fast. You might remember that when you were in that mode, all of a sudden it seems like time slowed down, but it was like your thinking was super high energy, super focused. You know exactly what to do. You have to, all of a sudden you notice all these little details that are all of a sudden important, but at the same time, this time seems to slow down. And that's because your brain is switching between theta and gamma at such a high rate, because in the theta brainwave, time slows down. And in the gamma brainwave, your brain frequency starts to become super coherent, super focused. And when that starts happening in meditation, you start getting downloads. What starts happening is that literally with your eyes closed, you start seeing things. You start seeing patterns, or some people start getting, literally they start seeing big images as if they're just happening right in front of them, in front of their eyes, without them actually seeing, hearing, or smelling anything physically. But just because something is happening to them. And that's what we call downloads. And that's what's been happening with the earth. Like we've been going into gamma brainwaves. We've been getting really strong downloads. And exactly those days were the days that before I really kind of knew what the Schumann wave was. I mean, I was aware of it, that it existed obviously, but the past month, there were a couple days, every now and again, there are certain days that are just extra emotional, either extra relaxing or extra something, like either one end of the spectrum, super emotional or super relaxing. And then you look at the Schumann resonance, and sure enough, it goes really high on that particular day. So that's, I guess, the importance of the Schumann resonance.
Yeah, and how are we tied into that? It's basically a reflection, right? Like a graph of
yes.
Of where
so
we're
what happens is yes. So as I just said, it literally corresponds. This Schumann resonance corresponds with the how do you say that, the ranges of our brainwaves. So that's what's happening when you have a brainwave when you're in an alpha brainwave or in a theta brainwave. You're in a brainwave of 4 to 8 hertz, megahertz, whatever that frequency was, and the Earth, this Schumann resonance, has the exact same kind of ranges that it operates in. And what we see right now is that that's when the mass meditation started happening. That was in the 4/4, so the 4th of April this month. There was a specific time that there was this mass meditation. And right after we did that meditation, the Schumann resonance literally picked up, which is really cool. What's happening when it corresponds, right? We're living on this earth, and we are living in kind of like a symbiosis. We affect the earth, and the earth affect us. So it works in a little bit of in a symbiosis. So what you saw really well with this meditation is when we as a collective said, we're now going to focus on love. What happens when you focus on love and you go really deep in this meditation, you start getting these visions of the new earth, of peace and love on earth, all that kind of stuff that we had to that we were visualizing. And what you then start doing, you start going into these gamma brainwaves, into these really high brainwaves that are really focused and really loving. And then what you start seeing in the earth's frequency is that exactly at that time, the frequency also started to pick up really high, and literally started going really coherent and cohesive, and really high, which is really significant because see, the earth affects us and we affect the earth, the resonance. And that's why it's such a significant thing. We are all connected to the earth, and that's almost, I would say, a good measurement of what's happening as a society right now. Because there's so much happening, so much upgrades that we're going through, because lots of people are realizing that something is off right now and something needs to change. Either one of those two or both. Mm-hmm. So people are waking up in a sense of there's more to life.
I think so too. There's still the sort of, I don't know how to say it, but like, I don't want to say scientific, but maybe like scientistic. Like this idea that I know nobody's more skeptical than a skeptic, it seems like. Or no one's more like, more determined that they know, It's like, no, that can't be. No, because I'm a skeptic. And it's like, well, just because you negate everything doesn't mean you're right about what you actually think. And, you think about belief systems. I've been thinking a lot about BS, we call it. Mm-hmm. and what we believe about the world and what we don't. We can get to ourselves into a good deal of trouble with those things if we're not careful. Mm-hmm. But just opening up, I've been reading The Law of One, and this is interesting to me. I've been thinking about this, is like the idea that each like planet and or solar system is like just like we're part of it, right? So like the theory in The Law of One is that, and I think it's the same in transurfing, is that, we were the rocks and we were this is similar to evolution, I guess. Yes. But that like spiritually speaking, like this place, became a thing, a thought of God, let's say, for lack of a better way to say. Yep. And so, we're fulfilling this basically this play out where all is one and we're just one consciousness experiencing itself. But what was really the most interesting thing about that book was thinking about it that way, as well as the fact that there are basically two paths. And so, a lot of people have said this too, that there's two paths. So going back to the dual or the polarity is that you can skip you can go the dark path or the light path, the light love path or the dark path. And ironically, the dark path ends in light anyway.
Of course, it always does.
But the schematic is basically like, they call them densities, but think of it as a dimension or a layer or whatever, and it's like the lower the density, the kind of more inert, the more solid.
Yes.
The slower the vibration or frequency, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So getting into what they're saying is what they're saying in the book is that after 2012, we're heading into the fourth density, which I think is like 96 million years worth of time or something like that.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. Like the last one was like, I don't know, like 96,000 years or something like that. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it. But, it's like, 96,000 years and then, I don't know, let's say 48 million for this particular next incarnation or whatever. And who knows? I mean, those numbers. But you've worked on past life stuff. So this stuff, is kind of in your wheelhouse. You know a little bit more about this kind of
thing. I
thing.
love this stuff. It's really cool.
It's really cool. It's really interesting. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it from that perspective. It's like, okay, well, we're the energy that was here from creation, right? And so, so of course it would make sense that we continue to just like reincarnate, learn life lessons until we get to like these higher densities. And what he's talking about is the higher densities are like beyond the physical realm, right? Like, so like, fifth dimensional or fifth density being is, is like a spirit you can't see, but there might be negative ones and positive ones and all this kind of stuff. Apparently, like, it's really hard to become a negative one. It's like really tough. Like,
I have some really cool story to share about that, by the way.
Cool.
About this whole stuff, because what you're saying, as you're right now saying, it's really hard to become a negative spirit. It is. But I recently had a super interesting experience. So it all started with, we have this love group that I told you about earlier when the YouTube stuff, I told you about that I set up this love group after I got really inspired by my results of almost getting kicked out of Egypt and on a vacation. And then the only thing that really got me through was choosing love over and over again, choosing love and really choosing, I'm staying, this is my decision. I'm staying here. I'm doing my vacation and everything's going to be fine. And it was amazing. So that kicked off our Love Initiative group, where me and my wife have been literally taking this group of about, now we are 22 people, I think. Yeah, now. And we are literally sharing everything about that we've learned about love, the power of love, all of that stuff. And it's been really amazing, by the way, this group energy. So the thing then, that was like 2 weeks ago, my wife had this dream where she had this really cool thing explained to her. And what she said made so much sense. It was like, that's usually when really big truths are revealed to you. It doesn't feel like a big truth. It's almost like, oh, wait a second. Even though I've never heard this before, it feels like I know this already. So my wife said, yeah, I had this dream and all of a sudden I saw all these, it was explained to me, she said all these evil spirits. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was taken aback and I saw everything through the eyes of love. And because love is literally where our universe comes from, love, God, whatever you want. But everything is created in love. Even the evil spirits are created by love. They have this, they all have this nature. They all come from love. The only thing is that the difference is between the more positive ones and the more negative ones, that the more negative ones are going through so much pain and they have all these traumas and all these, all these painful things that they can't let go of. And that's why they act like the way they act. And that's just the only difference, is that they're just in more pain than the other ones are. And when she said that, I thought, wow, that's so true.
It is. Well, yeah. And what they say in the law of one is that that polarity, like if you beam love at a negative entity, like nothing is more atrocious to it.
Yes, really exactly.
Yeah. They're trying to hang on to, their that negative polarity. They want to keep that whole thing going. So they want to avoid the light as much as possible and hide away from it. So if you just,
you know why?
Why is that?
Because imagine, right? You've gone through trauma healing as well yourself. And for the people listening, they might have gone through this, but when you go through, let's say you have a painful topic that you never really want to talk to, and then obviously someone comes who can help you with it. And this is one of those topics that you really don't want to talk about, like let's pick, some abuse in your childhood that you've been mean, most people have some experience like that. They've been beaten by their parents or mentally or physically, whatever that is. Usually they don't really talk about it. And obviously someone comes to them with so much love, and they look at them and they look at you and they see you for who you really are. A beautiful soul who just had a really shitty childhood. And they see right through you, and they see that in you. And what happens then is that you cannot hide this anymore, because you've been hiding this behind the facade of, bravado, or the I'm super scared, fear me or whatever. But then when someone comes with so much love, they all of a sudden have to face their own hurt and own trauma. And then all of a sudden, of course, it starts hurting because they haven't looked at it for years and it's still painful. And all of a sudden they have to go through these layers. That's what they're forced to do when you're in the presence of someone who's loving. You have to go through these layers because he or she makes you look at that. That's why they cannot stand it. And that's why that's why it's so painful being to someone who's super loving, because they get you out of your mode and they make you face all of a sudden this pain and go through that. Yeah. And that's why it hurts.
It shines a light.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
It literally shines a light in that little dark basement.
That's right. Oh man, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love the love group, dude. That's so cool. How are you guys doing that? Tell me a little bit more about how you're organizing it.
Well, so what we've done, this is the first group that we've done, and we just got this group together. I just messaged a bunch of people that, hey, I'm setting this thing up. Would you mind joining? Being a member of this? Kind of, because I ask a little bit. I ask a small amount of money for energy exchange, and then 25 of those said, yeah, sure, why not? And then they all wanted to learn. And what we do is I have a closed group on Instagram, and we have a group chat on Telegram. And between those, we share lots of. So on the Instagram, we go through this whole thing of what is love. Where does it come from? How can it influence your life? How can you send it? That's what we started off with. And then we started going into manifestations, trying to make your life how you want it, trying to fill your life with love. And then obviously we started going into the big topic that we've been working through is healing traumas, and really looking at your traumas and looking at all the stuff that's going on in your life through the eyes of love. That's what that's what me and my wife are teaching our love group, and we're doing group meditations as well, kind of just to how do you say that? Support this whole process. But then that's one part of it. But the most amazing part is this group chat, because there is literally 20 people who are literally like soul family. We started talking and everyone felt like they knew each other for already their whole lifetime. And in this group chat, it's like a safe space. And it's not like to sound cringe or anything. It's really, this place is where everyone just accepts what others say and are supportive of each other. That's the culture that we have created there. And so people are now in the group chat. It took, it obviously takes a couple of days to get going. And then everyone started sharing these, I've had, someone says, yeah, I'm struggling with this and this and this in my life. And then someone else said, hey, that's exactly what I've been struggling with. And then another says, oh my God, I thought I was the only one that was struggling with this. And all of a sudden you have like 3 or 4 people that are struggling with this. And then comes number 5 or 6 and says, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I struggled with that a year ago. This is how I got through it. And then me and my wife are we're responding to all the messages, giving our advice on that and trying to ask some good questions and seeing, trying to get to the bottom of it, supporting this whole healing process in the most loving way. But besides us guiding this group and supporting this group, it starts to become like this ripple effect, this snowball effect of love that people are going through. Like people have been saying, I took screenshots of all the positive feedback that we got in that group. And then I've literally got hundreds of screenshots of people saying, oh my God, I love this group so much.
That's awesome.
It's so amazing. We knew it was going to be good because obviously it was something that our heart told us to do. But I mean, it's so powerful that it blew us away, me and my wife. We were just blown away by the results. And it's been such a blast, honestly. People have gone through major breakthroughs. They've been able to heal traumas that have been bugging them for their whole life. And I have this one lady who really, she just, literally everything started clicking for her last week or so. 2 weeks, last week, everything started really clicking. She's been trying so hard and she's been following so hard. And then she goes through this trauma healing, and she had she had this really heavy trauma with her daughter and her husband that they lived together and everything's okay, but they weren't really on good speaking terms. And obviously with the quarantine, everything started coming up. So she then healed all of this. She went through it. She did the work. And all of a sudden she says, I feel so much better. She says, but today my daughter looked me in the eyes and she said with the most sweetest voice, Mom, I love you. And she didn't say that for at least 3 years after that incident happened. And she says, oh my God, that was literally just because I did that healing.
That's awesome.
And then she's been manifesting. They wanted to move, and it didn't really go. Same lady, by the way. And she went, and then all of a sudden she said, oh yeah, now we're going to drive here and here to this place 3 hours away. She says, oh my God, this is the perfect house. They still need to approve us. And then she was saying, oh my God, I just had this moment in the kitchen where I was cleaning up and I was already packing as if we were going to that house because I knew it. And then I saw my daughter and I throwing flour all over the new kitchen, making pizza, having a great time. And then she says, oh yeah, an hour later, she says, I got called by the persons of the house and we got accepted. And people all over this is like one person, but it's been at least 9, 10 have had this spectacular healings. The other ones have had also major breakthroughs. It's been really, oh my God. I can keep on going on about this if you notice. I'm so in love with this whole group. It's so amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that was really cool. And I mean, for us, me and my wife, I guess that's the difference between what I would say between our group and other groups is that me and my wife always have taken this approach of, listen, we are now telling this information. I mean, we've gone through this and we're literally showing you how we went through this and what helped for us, telling our truth, what we figured out. And we're helping them to figure out their own truth. That's one. First of all, that's the big one. Like, we're not telling you this is truth and this is how it is and nothing else, but we're helping, our soul family now, I can call them, is we help them find their own truth and find their own healing methods. But then the biggest thing that we also did is we always were open about our own struggles because obviously we're human as well.
Sure.
And we're all going through these healing methods. I wouldn't even say there's people, the healers, the theta healers, the Reiki masters, the hypnotists, all those therapists, most of the times, those are the ones who have the biggest traumas going on. That's why they actually got started on this whole path.
Yeah,
so
I've seen that.
We've been open about that from the very beginning. I mean, we actually did a couple of live demonstrations on me, where at some point, such a powerful healing technique that my wife was demonstrating, and I literally started crying in that moment, like right in front of all those people. And that was something that I never thought I would do, like live, but it just happened. And it was so beautiful because it also showed them and us that we're not afraid, that we're also doing the dirty work, I guess. So yeah, that's about our group.
No, that's amazing. How can people find out or find it or become a part of it? How does that work?
Oh yeah, actually I started advertising for our newer group because we're starting a new love group somewhere this weekend / a little bit after next weekend. But somewhere in the next few days, we're going to start with the lectures. And right now we're open to registrations, people who are interested in that. The only thing that they have to do is just reach out to me in any way, shape or form. Okay. And I'll send you the information. That's basically what we're doing.
Definitely send me the information. And for people who are listening, it's Seidhr, SEIDHR _Ralph.
Yes.
On Instagram and
exactly.
And Seidhr Academy as well, right?
Yeah, SeidhrAcademy.com on the interwebs.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, dude, that's amazing. That sounds great. And, I mean, it's funny because I've been, since I've been doing this, I don't know. It is a barrage. There's so much information. And people are like, you gotta do this and you gotta do that and you're not doing the work and this, that, and the other. To me, the work is forgiveness. To me, the work
Oh
is
my God, yes.
opening up your heart. And as cheesy as it sounds, I don't care. Like letting love flow through you. And the more you can do that.
Oh my God, when you do that, the results are so amazing. It literally turns your whole world around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here's another one of those things. I mean, there's this one account that this particular group actually came all from people that at some point I had on Instagram, one really big account of like a couple, I guess right now almost 60,000 followers. This guy asked me to manage his account for a while he was taking a break from things. And a lot of people followed me. Their group was almost exclusively coming from him. Those were people who came to me from him. But he right now is one of those persons who really got really hit badly mentally about when everything like this quarantine stuff happened. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that he could talk about at that moment was how bad everything was, how big we were screwed, like we're going to be vaccinated, all that, we're going to be killed, fried, whatever, all this bad stuff that he was telling. Mm-hmm. And one of the lives that we did, it was actually a question about him, like, oh my God, I feel so bad for him. And what about all of this stuff? So we started talking and basically I said, yeah, well, I also felt a little bit pained by that. And then as we were talking, I said, well, there's the thing. He has so much pain inside, but the only thing that he can do right now, he doesn't know how to move through this pain, through this trauma. So what's he going to do? He starts explaining his own pain and his own trauma through this message. That's what people are doing, They take this information, and because they feel so much pain and they don't know how to share it, then they start sharing the truth. This is the truth. This is what's happening. All this nasty stuff, right? All this blah 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 conspiracy theories, blah 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 blah, whatever they're saying. And they're saying, I'm not spreading fear, I'm just spreading the truth. But deep inside, they're just hurting. And they don't know what to do with it, and then they want to stay in this. They make a choice to stay in this hurt, and that's what they're then projecting out. And so the only thing that we then start doing is then you cannot judge someone because of that, because they're just hurt. When you see that they're hurt, and that's why when a child is screaming at you and yelling at you, you're not going to get mad at it. At least most parents, when you see their child when it's screaming and yelling and crying, you're not going to yell at it because there's something going on. That's the same on the adult level, what's going on. So then we looked at this guy and we realized that and said, okay, let's just send lots of love, because that's what we do. We actually start feeling this love energy and start sending it. And that's when magic happens. So we started sending this. Listen to this. This is really cool. So we started sending this love energy to him. We started surrounding him with this love energy. And sure enough, day later, there's one of these women from our course. He was watching his channel and she says, oh my God, you never believe what just happened. He just did a live and he was spreading this, he was going into his fears again. And all of a sudden, this woman, this angel, the woman just comes and says, what are you doing? Return to love. And he was silent. And usually this guy talks over everyone, doesn't really want to listen to anyone. And he just wants to tell his own story. And this woman was just straight up telling him to shut up, return to love. What are you doing right now? And he was listening, and all of a sudden and after that, his message became so much more loving. He started doing group meditations, he started organizing these things. And it was really like right after we started surrounding him by love and just filling his space with unconditional love.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That was one of those. It was one of those, and this stuff starts, and everyone listening right now, and love is made out to be this cheesy thing. You're only feeling it in relationships, so it's not that powerful of a power. Fear is much more powerful, but that's what they want you to believe.
Right.
Because love is the most powerful thing in the universe. Literally, we are made out of love, and I'll explain it. Just really simple. Because everyone is made up out of subatomic particles like the atoms, and the protons, neutrons, smaller than that even. And if you go look in between that, there is this infinite space, right, of energy that's going on right there, the quantum field that they call. And we are just zero, and all of our mass is just a really small percentage. What they found, I talked about this last time, I think. I don't know if you remember that, the observer's effect. Mm-hmm. This electron. Did we talk about that last time?
I'm not sure if we did, but hopefully everybody's tracking with this. The observer effect is the beginning of quantum physics. I've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, I guess, when you're listening to Owen, you've heard this probably before a little bit.
I mean, yeah, if you have, hopefully I've managed to peddle this idea at some point, right? No, the observer effect. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So the electron comes exactly at the point where we look at it, right? It appears, it manifests right where we put our attention. That happens, and literally what happens is this is what happens on a big scale. Like that how do you say this? The electron only appears when you put your attention there. And how that intelligence that puts the intention there, that is what they call God. And if you think about it, we are just this really small, minuscule percentage that is our physical world is being held together by attention. Because if you take your attention away of this electron, it disappears. And if you put your attention away from any of the problems that you have in your life and you don't give energy to it, sure enough, it disappears. And that's what happens. We're literally, don't you think that that's the intention in this intelligence, that power of, if you will, God, that is literally just holding this space for us? That's unconditional love right there. Mm-hmm. We come from unconditional love, and that we've been created out of love, everything in between. From the good, the bad, the ugly, the evil, the white, the dark, everything is created from love. And it's such a powerful thing. When you start working with it, literally your life will start transforming. Like this lady who had her problems with, her daughter. And all of a sudden she has this loving relationship with her daughter, and all of a sudden they don't hate each other anymore. And other lady, they had a breakthrough with her family, who had all of a sudden this breakthrough with their family. So she started studying love, going through her traumas, and voila, all of a sudden, boom, she starts having this amazing relationship with her family. It's really powerful. Love is so powerful when you do your manifestations, and you focus yourself. You feel the emotions of your future. But the most powerful thing is when you feel those emotions, when you fill it up with love, and you fall in love with your future. This is what connects all of us. You're connected to everything through love. This is what holds us together. This is what connects us right now. Love.
Yep.
And it's super powerful.
Yeah, it really is. It is the most powerful. It's so easy to forget, but I mean, it is. Mm-hmm. It is the most powerful, and it's easy to get caught up in stuff that's happening around us. I definitely have,
but that's human, right? That's very human. That's okay.
Yeah, and I think what's more important is like understanding these concepts, like what you're talking about, as well as like human rights, what those are, little things like that. That's super basic. It's easy stuff, But if we understand those types of things, and come from the eyes of love, looking from that place, then I mean, what are you gonna do? You just say no. You just say,
exactly.
I'm not taking that vaccine, bro. And you won't be the only one, but you don't have to get a shotgun out and run into the town square and start hooping and hollering, about Q
exactly
or whatever. Fucking
yeah, exactly. Or you start, because that's what people ask me. Then I've had people ask me, but then, bro, if you're saying that if you feel love, that all of a sudden this stuff will not happen to you? I'm saying, yeah, well, actually, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because when you start vibrating in the frequency of love, that just doesn't occur to you in your reality anymore, and it doesn't affect you at all anymore. It's so powerful because you start vibrating and you start attuning yourself to a future in which you don't have to go through all these emotions. You don't have to go through all these negative experiences. And then if in physical world, let's say that this happens, right? When you have to go through get a vaccine, let's just say that this is a possibility. That even if that's what you're forced to do it, if you are surrounding yourself with love and you don't stress about it and you fill this vaccine with love, it's not going to do you any harm, nothing at all. And this is kind of a bold statement, but this is something that you don't have to be afraid of, because if you start seeing the vaccine as in like some sort of mixture that is going to prevent if some disease, some mixture that is really going to enhance your psychic abilities or whatever it is that you decide it's going to do, that is what it's going to do.
So you can turn yourself into Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
I think that there's I think there's a balance with it. And the law of one, checking into that has definitely helped me a little bit, just being like, all right, well, this isn't the end all be all, this is one point in infinity that we are each experiencing. And that is huge. Infinity, which is love, light, whatever you want to call it, same thing. It's pretty powerful,
It definitely is.
Yeah. And I think that people have, I think it's definitely a uniting time, a time where hopefully we can bring this idea and this vibration, this feeling, this energy into the physical world, and see a better, manifestation of organization. Because force is, in my opinion, good ideas don't require force. If we got a good idea and we're like, hey, let's do this thing, and then people want to do it and it's positive, well, then it's just going to continue to grow on its own. Whereas if I, hold a gun to your head and say, do this thing, it's not necessarily, it may not be a great idea if I have to do that.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. So definitely think it's a weird time where we do have to stand up, because I don't think, like, you look at Jesus, for instance, who was, definitely a loving figure, but I mean, he wasn't a pushover either. I mean, that whole scene where he goes into the money changers and starts breaking shit, seems a little bit out of character for somebody who tells you to turn the other cheek. But yeah, I do think
that's exactly what self-love is. It's kind of
like when that lady too said, "Hey, what are you doing?" to that guy. Like, remember about love, bro. In a way that was definitely loving, but also probably, kind of brash. Kind of hard.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He loves people so much that he knew that was what needed to be done. Mm-hmm. He loves them. He loves himself. And he was led by love to do that. That's what Jesus did. And that's what people say when someone is, sometimes the most loving thing is to get fucking angry at someone.
Yeah.
Because that's how anger, I heard this, a couple days ago. I thought this is a good description of anger. Anger is just an indication of you, a reaction of being pushed too far, being kind of pushed too far into your limits. Mm-hmm. And anger is just a protection mechanism that says, hey, hold on, you're going too far, buddy. And a lot of the times, anger is necessary for a lot of people because they have never expressed it before.
Right.
And so then the most loving thing to do is to stop giving a shit about Paulie or whatever, who the hell is, Sally, who's trying to tell you to shut up because you offended me. Fuck you, Sally. Yep. Go fuck yourself. I mean, that's, sounds rash what I'm saying right now, but that's sometimes what's necessary because.
Oh yeah, I'm a comedian, dude. We tell people to go fuck themselves from stage all the time. That's literally, it's a guaranteed laugh every single night. Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck you. And then everybody laughs. Yeah. Every single time. It is very important to express anger and be healthy, and get that stuff out, It's like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You just jam it down inside of yourself and you're never angry or you never, and there's a certain thing I think is like righteous anger or righteous indignation, which is, I guess, in the Jesus, example that I just gave. But then there's other types of anger too. And that doesn't necessarily, anger certainly doesn't mean violent,
No.
That's not what angry is, so I just want to be clear in our terms here. We are human beings. We have emotions.
Exactly.
And we do
well,
need to.
I would say that anger at some point, like the violence. When does violence become a bad thing? Because that's also, it's a part of perspective, you know. If someone is trying to hurt you, and the only thing you can do is respond by violence because he's not listening anyways. Right. So you have to give him a punch on his face in order to get him to shut up.
Right.
That's the most loving thing that you can do for both you and him then, because he's violating your rights. And then if there's really no other way that this is going to be solved, then that's what has to happen then.
Yep. I think it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. As far as that whole thing goes, it's like you definitely have the right to defend yourself, and you should, you know, you know, to an extent, like do whatever's right in your heart, of course. Right. Like I'm not saying every single time do this, but you definitely have, you know, it's the aggressor in the situation who's always the asshole. You know, it's the person who's picking the fight who is responsible for it.
Exactly.
It's not what they taught us in school. Like in school, they were like, I don't care who started it. I'm going to finish it. That's what every teacher would say that about a fight. But in reality, that's bullshit, Mrs. Portwood. Okay. You know, if I could go back to being in third grade, that's exactly what I would say to Mrs. Portwood, and she would have probably a stroke in the middle of the class, and we would all have to deal with this trauma later on in our life and be calling Ralph Slond and saying, my third grade teacher died in front of me because I told her to shut the fuck up. What do I do?
Dude.
But yeah. A little rant.
That's true.
But
I mean, that's so true. What you're doing right now is, by the way, a really powerful way of going through trauma. When you have this thing going on, one of the most powerful ways is actually get yourself in a quiet space and actually go tell Miss Portwood to go fuck herself in that situation. Really cluster her and lay into her, right? In in the comfort of your bedroom, of course. Imagine your pillow being Mrs. Portwood's face, and then doing whatever the fuck you want to do with that face. Letting it out. And then when you've let it all out, you come as your adult self, and you come and get yourself out of that situation. You say to yourself and to Mrs. Portwood, you say, Mrs. Portwood, you're not going to do this you're not going to do this to little Owen anymore. He's safe. He's protected. You don't get to throw him around like that anymore. He's protected right now. So if you're going to do something, you're going to have to deal with me. From now on, the only thing that you're allowed to express is through loving intentions. And you're allowed to teach them through love. And anything else doesn't go. That's not allowed. And you're going to have to deal with me. Then you take up yourself in this situation, and you say to yourself, listen, little Owen, I'm so sorry for not being there all the time. And I promise I'll be there for you. You just know that you're safe and that you're able to express yourself fully, and know that you're protected from everyone around you. And that you're safe to do your thing. And when you do that, magic happens. Honestly, try it out for yourself. Magic happens.
Hell yeah. Mrs. Portwood definitely may she rest in peace, because she was like 95 when I was in third grade, so she's definitely reincarnated or not really with us here in this incarnation.
But here's the thing. You're telling this to her, you're laying into her, into an energy imprint of her, like the image of her in your head. Not into herself, into her whatever it is, because you can't do anything to her. She doesn't feel anything of this. And if anything, she feels something. She feels, if she would be alive, she would feel a release going on between you two, your relationship. Because you just did that. Because right now you're freeing her to be herself, and she doesn't have to be this negative teacher anymore. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yep. That's great. And that's a great example, I think, for anybody who's listening, to just get out there, rip into your pillow. Whoever's face you want to tape on there, onto that pillow, and you just light into that thing, and then
get yourself out of there after
and then
that.
forget it, and then forgive. Not forget necessarily, but forgive. Forgiveness. What's cool about forgiveness too is that because here's what happens: if somebody does something harmful to you, and they just they send that energy your way, and it's yours now. And if you become bitter and you foster that negativity, then it just begins
That's
to
on
get
you.
worse and worse and worse and worse. So when you
Yep.
forgive that person, that allows karma to do its work. And now this work leaves you, this energy leaves you and goes back to the source from whence it came.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, when you forgive people who have hurt you, that's when they get their, and you can't forgive them. You can't like fake forgive them so they get their comeuppance or whatever. Like that doesn't work. But when you literally forgive them, you know, that stuff, it's gone. It's out of you. It goes back. It can go back to source. It's free at that point.
Definitely.
You know, so I mean, if your intention is to hurt somebody by forgiving them, then that's never going to work. That's not real forgiveness. But
that's revenge.
That's revenge, and good luck with that. But yeah, I think that the you know, letting it go, forgiving, and that keeps your love line flowing. You know, you got it. You got the goo juice just flying through your. Oh dear God!
You've got the river of love going through you, baby.
Yeah. What is the cheesiest thing we could say about it? Like, I love the Care Bear stare. I love saying that. You know, you get the Care Bear stare.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and just blasting out love energy all over your. All over your heart. God. All over your heart. Yeah, well, dude, what a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. We're going to get a live going. I'll post this out in the next couple of days, on the podcast and on YouTube. And we'll get a live going here. I guess I've got to troubleshoot it a little bit, but, just real quick, let people know where they can find you in the group.
Yeah, they can find me at cider _Ralph. On Instagram. On Inder. I don't know what Inder is, but maybe I'm looking into the future right now. No. So you can find me on Instagram at cider, SEIDHR _Ralph, RALPH. You can also find me on cideracademy.com, and the love group is solely advertised through Instagram. So if you want to know more about it, I have some videos going on where me and my wife explain whatever the hell it is that we're doing over there. And yeah, just shoot us a message. You can always shoot us a message, shoot us an email. You can just send me an email at ralph@cideracademy.com, or on Instagram. Yeah, just reach out. Send me a snail mail, whatever, for that care.
Yeah. Yeah,
you can send me a snail mail.
Yes, send this guy some emails, some snail mail, some Instagram DMs. You know, take a picture of your pillow and send it to his Instagram account with you know, your Miss Monroe's face taped on there, all the trauma. That lady threw a book. She threw a book at a student, and when I was in 5th grade, Miss Monroe. And
no way.
She got fired for that. But that lady, 96 years of not dealing with your bitterness. That's what's you're gonna throw a book at a kid. You know,
yes.
Psycho lady. Jeez Louise.
That
kid was an asshole though. I mean.
I mean, he did deserve.
I mean, yeah, he kind of had it coming, but, you know, so did she. It's gotta suck to like throw a book at a kid after you worked for like 95 years in the elementary school system and just been
she was probably like, oh, fuck this. I'm done with all this.
Done.
Fuck you, Billy.
That's right. I don't need no 401k. I don't need no retirement. Wait a second. I wish I could unthrow that book right now. There goes my retirement through the air. Oh my God.
All right. My God.
Okay. Well, that's enough fun for this one, guys. Thanks so much for coming on, dude. Like I said, we'll definitely talk.
Thank you so much for having me, Owen.
It's the best. Yeah, and you guys can check me out, Bootsy Greenwood, on Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Thanks. Check out Ralph's stuff, and I'll put all the links in the show notes. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, guys.
Hell yeah.